That's right. Sound great.
Bill Ryder-Jones, live in session here on Six Music. This Can't Go On, and 2 more numbers on the way. All of the tunes you're playing tonight, Bill, from Yachida, from the new LP which came out earlier this year. How has it been having this record out and seeing the reception to it as well? It's a beautiful, beautiful record.
Oh, well, thank you. That was a lot of questions. It's been very strange, really, in truth. It's been beautiful, you know. The album's been received in a really positive way. But yeah, it's been odd.
You know. Odd how?
Odd in the way that you spend in my instance with this record, with Yachida, I spent sort of 3 years with it. You know, it was my life for 3 years, and then it came out and it did well, and you assume that when it comes out you're gonna feel good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it took like 3 or 4 months after the release for me to actually be like, okay, you know, yeah. So I assumed it was going to make me happy, and it didn't. But now it does, which is you know, the fairy tale that we want, I guess, you know.
I heard you, or I read you talking about it as sounding like Wes Kirby. Perhaps more than, I mean, Wes Kirby has played its part in previous records, but this one in particular, yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, I say a lot of things. Wes Kirby doesn't have a sound.
But if it did, would it not sound a bit like this record?
No, it would sound like me. Yeah, so, no, I think that was slightly misquoted, and I've to correct this a few times. The record sounds how I want Wes Kirby to be, and how I live in this. I mean, if you know Wes Kirby, it's a strange little place, you know. And yeah, the album is not about Wes Kirby. It's absolutely, as always, about me, and I framed it in such a way that might deflect from people asking me personal questions, but what I've done is I've entrapped myself, I think, Gideon.
Well, I don't want you to be entrapped during the course of this conversation.
I'm looking at this drum booth here and thinking...
You can always go in there if you want. That's what it's there. It's there for us all to escape into.
Well, I wouldn't want to mention Takeshi's Castle, but like, I wouldn't mind being in there right now, you know.
There's in terms of themes of this record, there's sadness in there, but what emerges for me is a lot of love and a lot of hope as well. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I mean, the record is born out of the starting. So the record is, in my opinion, in my mind, is split in 3 parts. Like the three parts of writing it. So the first part was all love. I was in love. I was writing like someone who's in love. The second part, I was writing as a producer, trying to finish a record. And then the third part was written with someone who had their heart broken, and you can call it lucky or whatever, but yeah, that's how it worked. Yeah.
If there's one tune which sort of diverts from that pattern of these being your stories, it's one which features Michael Head on "And the Sea," where he's quoting from Ulysses, and that's an extraordinary sounding tune in the sort of middle of the record. It works really well. Just tell us a bit about how that came together.
Yeah, well, so again, like musicians might relate to this. The album had been mixed and was ready to go, and I was absolutely not ready to let it go. You know, it'd been my whole life, it'd been everything. So Domino, thankfully, I've got to say thank you to Domino. I said to them, I've got 2 more songs that I want on the record, and they let me do it, and I was lying, you know. I just didn't want to finish the record, so I wrote this. I wrote this thing over like 2 days, and Mick was in the studio. We were finishing. I don't know if honestly, like, my timeline is blocked, but I don't know if we were finishing vocals on Dear Scott or Loophole, But I remember saying to Mick, like, are you free tomorrow? Can you come in? And like, I've always loved hip hop, you know, and I wanted something that I wanted a voice speaking in time with melody, and you know, and yeah, he was like, yeah, lad, I was like, hey, can you write something for me? Like, I've got this piece of music, I just want your voice on it. Like, yeah, no problem. And he turned up and he hadn't done that, so I picked up a book, you know, and it was Ulysses, and the beautiful thing, and this is one of the really beautiful things about producing records for people and making musical attachments with people, is that when I said to Mick, just go back to the last page of Ulysses and just read that, you know. But he reads fast, Mick, you know. So I had to say, like, no, listen to the beat, you know. And when Mick got on that, you know, when he got on, like, reading these words in time, I thought it was like such a magical thing. It really affected me, and I think it's still my favourite thing on the record, because it was I didn't design it at all, you know, it just happened.
I think it's borne wonderful fruit, your working relationship with Mick Head, including on Loophole, which is his latest album with the Red Elastic Band, which is amazing, and on Dear Scott, which was the previous record as well. And long may you work together, because it's great.
Yeah, well, that was a statement. You got a question? Do you wanna?
Do you feel you learn from each other?
I learned from Mick. I mean, you'd have to ask Mick, man. I mean, I get a lot of a huge amount of my sense of self and self-worth comes from what I can do in music, and the fact that Mick Head just lets me, puts down an acoustic guitar. You know, when Mick comes in the studio, he puts down his song on an acoustic guitar and basically says, "Go ahead, Bill," you know. And I get a huge amount of comfort and yeah, like a feedback loop of positivity from that. With Loophole, I mean, it's really hard. I gotta be honest, man. Like, I love the fact that, like, I'm the guy that produced mixed records that got them where they needed to be, you know, and then in the album charts, and, you know, got him, you know, because it's Mick, you know, he is probably, in my opinion, the greatest songwriter we've had since Nick Drake, you know. So the fact that he just says to me, Bill, do your thing, lad. You know what I mean? Like, it hits 13-year-old, 16-year-old, 20-year-old and 24-year-old, 28-year-old, 36-year-old and 40-year-old Bill very hard, you know. Like, it's a big deal, you know. And with Loophole just being released, yeah, just incredibly proud, like, you know.
Well, quite right too. Are you ready to approach the piano for the next two numbers?
What, now?
Well, if you'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
If that's all right, yeah. Two more tunes to come. What I haven't mentioned, actually, before you do...
my album.
Yeah, I mentioned your album.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Upcoming shows with Beth Gibbons, which sound like they're going to be amazing. So you're playing some European shows. I'll go through the UK leg of those as well. But that sounds exciting. You're on the bus with them. You're travelling around and playing all manner of places in Europe. Is that right?
Yeah, man. Like, you've got to understand. Like, music listeners have got to understand how it is for, like, artists right now. Like, there is no money. There is nothing. Like, you know. You're lucky you've got a deal. So everyone is looking for a tour support with a big artist. Someone like me, who's done well on Radio 6, with this album with Yachida, has done well. But to score the support on a Beth Gibbons tour is a huge, huge thing, you know. And yeah, thank you for bringing it up. I'd also add in that both me and Evelyn are absolutely, like, besotted with Beth Gibbons' music, and to at least be a part of something that she's doing is is everything. But I think it's a huge shame that. No, I'm going to stop there. Actually,
Okay. Well, do you want to get? Do you want to get towards? Get to the piano if you wouldn't mind. It's just over there.
All right.
While you do, I'm going to give out the tour dates with Beth Gibbons, and also mention your Barbican show in London, which is on the 16th of October.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, and then it is indeed. That would be amazing. But in June, so not too far away, Sunday 9th of June, there's a show with Beth Gibbons at the Barbican, and then on the 10th, Albert Hall here in Manchester, and the 11th of June, Usher Hall in Edinburgh is where you can see not only Beth Gibbons, if you're lucky enough to get tickets for that, but also Bill, Ryder-Jones with Evelyn, playing wonderful tunes such as these two. What's the next one you like to play?
The next song. Let me just sort my headphones out.
Okay. Are they all right?
No, they're okay. I just need to turn my vocal up.
Mm-hmm.
The next song I think we're gonna do is called it's called "A Bad Wind Blows in My Heart," Part 3.